Globe, Thursday, February 11th, 1915. Carrie Davies, now in jail hospital, is not confined to bed but has had several fits. All day Tuesday, the girl sobbed and refused to be comforted or take any meals. She slept little at night, and it is stated had several epileptic fits, to which she is supposed to be subject. Toronto Daily News, Thursday, February 11th, 1915. The unfolding drama of a shocking death within a prominent family provided titillating relief for Toronto's citizens. Gossip was easier to absorb than the welter of confusing stories out of distant countries on the far side of the Atlantic. The only sources of information about the war, now in its 7th month, were newspaper reports and the rumours they triggered. There was no radio, let alone any of the information technology we take for granted today. Television, internet, streamed videos of battles in real time, captured on cell phones by ordinary citizens. In Carrie's world, newspaper readers were accustomed to getting the news when it was at least a day old, and to wondering if it had already been overtaken by events. The official story in early February 1915 was that the war was going well. This was a contrast to the previous year, when for a ghastly moment Britain and its allies risked defeat in northern France and Belgium. Grey-uniformed German troops had headed for Belgium in 550 trains a day, some with "to Paris" chalked on their sides. By late August, German forces had captured Brussels, massacring civilians and pushing the remnants of the Belgian army out of the way as they moved into northern France. The French army had failed to contain the German surge across the border and were ill-equipped to mount an offensive to the southeast. French troops went into battle in eye-catching blue coats and brilliant red trousers that, in Adam Hochschuld's words, had long made them the most flamboyantly dressed of Europe's foot soldiers. It was a matter of Gallic pride. When a reformer at a parliamentary hearing had suggested toning down the colours 2 years earlier, the Minister of War had bellowed, "Jamais! Le pantalon rouge, c'est la France!" In case the vivid uniforms were not enough to guide German snipers, there was sound as well. Brass bands often led French infantry units into the attack. Nevertheless, disaster had been narrowly averted. The French had halted the German advance towards Paris at the First Battle of the Marne in September, and the following month the British had crushed a clumsy German attack in the First Battle of Ypres. Canadians had been shocked by the horrendous casualties during these first 3 months of the war. The French lost 800,000 men, 300,000 dead, and the rest wounded or taken prisoner, and the British suffered a total loss of 95,000. Canadian newspapers described in blood-curdling detail how corpses littered the ground where Allied troops spent November and December extending the network of trenches and getting their first taste of the months of misery ahead. Winter weather meant that the trenches were soon flooded and foul, and guns clogged with mud. Since Christmas, the Western Front had been relatively quiet. Yet during this first year of fighting, an air of unreality lingered. Saturday Night had published a letter from an English officer in the North Staffordshire Regiment about the events on Christmas Day, 1914, when German and British troops mingled freely in no man's land between the trenches. "This morning, after a valley, the Germans sent out parties to bury their dead. Our men went out to help, and then we all, both sides, met in the middle, and in groups began to talk and exchange gifts of tobacco, food, etc. All the morning we have been fraternizing, singing songs. I have been within a yard, in fact onto their trenches, and have spoken to and exchanged greetings with the colonel, staff officers, and various company officers. All were very nice. The Germans are Saxons and a good-looking lot, only wishing for peace in a manly way. And they seem in no way at their last gasp. The whole thing is extraordinary. It is weird to think that tomorrow night we shall be at it again hard."